Okay, so we're about ready to start on the truck. Today we're going to do doors. Taking these doors off. As you can see, they're a different color because they have electric windows. But I'm having issues with the electric window motor and I'm tired of messing with it, so I'm going back to the manual doors, manual crank. And I'm going to try to do the vapor fogger and readjust the fuel supply so that we can try to get better mileage out of this truck. I have a new truck, not new, the same truck, but in the automatic variety. So I will be retiring this truck. But before I do that, I want to revisit a video that I did a long time ago, and you know, I had some really good results from that. It was vapor fogger. I want to revisit that idea. I had a lot of problems with that before. It kept blowing up. Every time I turned left, it would blow up. So I want to do it this time without the high voltage in the chamber, in the fog chamber, which was causing the hydrogen to blow up. So this time I'm going to leave the high voltage out of it. I'm going to see what kind of mileage I get on the system without the high voltage. I think the high voltage was part of the reason that the molecules were so active, but I'm not sure. So we're going to eliminate the high voltage, see if I get the same results. And if I do, great. If I don't, then I know I need to use high voltage and try again. But if I do that, I'm going to do it differently so that the high voltage can't arc and cause the hydrogen to ignite inside the chamber, which makes it explode. So I had very good results with the system the way I had it. And had it not been for it blowing up every time I turned left, I could have gotten some good results, but life happened, I got busy. I'm not as busy now, so I want to start getting back into doing what I used to do, which is what I enjoy. And one of those things is this truck. I've had several vehicles that I had really good results with hydrogen on. And when I was into that, which was a long time ago, as you can see by the videos, when I was into that, I had a lot of good results. So I want to try to replicate that. And also I want to be able to, by doing that, also identify the cause, try to formulate a hypothesis on why this works so well. And when I say so well, I mean it. Easily triple, if not 5 times the mileage that this truck gets. So this is a 7.3 diesel. You'll probably hear my dog barking in the background. It's a 7.3 diesel. I'll bring you in and have a look at that in a minute, but nothing crazy. I got electric fuel pump, so I don't have to rely on the manual fuel pump. Very unreliable. So I have a electric fuel pump backed by the tanks, and it pumps up to the water separator filter assembly, which then feeds into the manual injection pump. There is a heater, actually, the tube that comes up from the tank, I changed to copper and ran alongside the exhaust to preheat fuel as it's coming into the water separator filter assembly. And I've added a pressure gauge so I can see that the fuel pump is working. I can hear it, but I can also see the pressure that the fuel pump is putting out. So if I have a clogged filter, if I start running vegetable oil, I'll have to modify the fuel system so that it only uses the vegetable oil and not the fuel tanks that are in the truck, because I had a problem with sending units before because there was too much, the pH level was wrong in the fuel I was using. It was just waste vegetable oil. It was filtered, but other than that, I didn't try to titrate it or anything like that. So the pH was really high, which caused a lot of corrosion, and also the vegetable oil tends to get fats in it that I didn't remove, and those fats can accumulate on some of the parts in the fuel injection, the fuel injection pump actually, and when that happens, the injector pump starts to stick and cause issues. So this time when I set up vegetable oil, which I'm not going to use right away, I'm gonna try to identify the cause, and I know it runs better on vegetable oil, but I'm going to go ahead and use diesel for the first test. Anyway, when I use the vegetable oil, I'm going to have a separate tank just for that. And the bad part with that is there's fuel in the lines. That filter housing holds maybe 2 quarts, easily a quart. So we're talking 1 to 2 quarts in the lines. So when I switch over to regular diesel fuel, I have to make sure that I flush out the vegetable oil, especially if the truck's going to be sitting for any length of time. If it's being driven every day, that won't matter. But the lubricants in the diesel fuel help to keep that pump working right. If I get a sticky pump, I take the filter off, I fill it up with transmission fluid, which I have plenty of, and use transmission fluid. Doesn't really matter, just filtered. But anyway, I put that in there and let that run into the pump and then let it sit for 24 hours. And that usually frees up the pump, makes it work right, idles good again. So that usually fixes it. These 7.3s actually love mixed fuels, transmission fluid, you name it. Now, they don't like gasoline. They will ping. And also, I don't have glow plugs in here. I do have glow plugs, what's left of them. I haven't taken them out in 20 years. But 20 years ago, I got tired of messing with glow plugs, so I started using engine starting fluid. And I know there's going to be some people saying, oh my God, you're going to blow up your engine. Trust me, zip ties and bias plies. If Peg can do it, I can do it. So this one little tiny squirt, just a little sniff, is all this thing needs to start. And I have a remote starter here so that I can stand here with the starting fluid and just give it a little sniff, just like that, while I'm cranking it. Pulls it in, starts right up. Always starts right up. There's no heating glow plugs, none of that. And it's not enough to make it ping. I mean, it does ping a little bit, but it does that when it starts up anyway. So I've been doing this for 25 years on this truck. I've never rebuilt the motor. I did have the motor rebuilt when I bought the truck, but that was probably 600 to 800,000 miles ago. And when I got the truck, it was a daily driver for a roofing company that used this truck every day for 10 years. And they probably put 200 miles a day on it. So I would estimate this truck has 300,000 roughly before I got it 25 years ago. And it was my daily driver for 20 years. Pretty close to that. Plus this truck's been all over the country, back and forth, hauling stuff. I mean, it's a 1-ton. It's a 1-ton dually. It's made to tow. Doesn't it's got a 5-speed, so it doesn't get really good highway speeds, but it does all right. So anyway, just showing how I use the truck, and once I have the, let me see here. So this is the leftover parts from the old system. You'll see the air breather sticking straight up off of the part that this goes onto. This is the chamber. This is the fogger chamber. You'll see a float in here. This float will adjust up and down to give me a water level inside here about just below half, which is the widest point. And the foggers will sit right at that level, and this will get adjusted. Well, actually, there's an adjustment inside on the arm, but what I'll do is I'll set it so that the foggers will actually float, so that when I turn to the side, water sloshes this way inside, and I want my boat with the foggers in it to ride with the level, so that the foggers are always getting the right amount of water. When you use a fogger, it's got to be basically level with the water. It only wants a thin film of water above it, and so that it can push the fog through that. That's where it produces the best. So what I need to have in here is something that floats, that can ride the water. I'm probably going to put a baffle in here, but if it gets in the way, I won't be able to. So I at least want that to be able to ride at the same level all the time, no matter what I'm doing in the car, or the truck, actually. This is the waterline input. I have a pump, it's not installed yet, that will hold pressure. I don't think it's 25 pounds or something like that, but it'll hold pressure, and then the float valve will only open when the water level drops enough for that to open, and then it'll shut, and the water pump shuts right off. So that's good to have on there. There's some things missing, obviously. I got LEDs, lasers, hydrogen, obviously. Hydrogen being the main component. The hydrogen and the water vapor being the main component. So you'll see when I take that filter off, it goes right here. This will sit on top of here. That'll go like that. This sits right down on the motor, right in here. Over here. And then, well, anyway, you get the idea. So once this is installed, there we go. Once that's installed, I may have to change back to the other hood. I don't know yet if I'm going to need the hood clearance. But I need to mount this chamber. I need to get the get everything lined up, hooked up, working. I'm going to get it working first. I'll do a video on putting this together and making it work. And then I'll do another video installing it. But that's the idea with this truck. I've done metal work, which I'll put out some videos on doing, you know, replacing, fixing rust, basically, and so I'll have more videos coming out on this truck as soon as I get back into the video editing, which this won't go out until I do that. So that's on the agenda. But today we're doing doors. I'm gonna go back to the manual doors. I'm gonna, you know, put the same color doors back on it. And once I have everything done, I'll go ahead and sand it down and spray it so it's all one color. And reassemble the interior and all that. Put it back together like it's supposed to be. I gotta do cab mounts. I've already done the radiator support. Not sure if I did a video on that, but basically I had to replace this core support all the way across. I had to find one that wasn't rusty, which was tough. And at the time I could only find a couple, and they all had rust. They rust out right there where they sit on the rubber for the frame, basically. This was sitting on the bumper. So for the longest time, my radiator, whole assembly, front clip, everything was resting on this piece on the bumper. I mean, that's just how I drove it. It's an old truck, so you're gonna have that. But you know, I'm probably gonna get rid of this truck. I don't know. I've had it for so long. I don't really want to get rid of it, but I have a wife and limited amount of storage space, and we had to make a deal. So the deal is, if it doesn't go under a roof, I can't have it. So I'm adding roof, but I'm running out of room. So you know, there's that. So anyway, been doing a lot of talking. Maybe it's time to do some work. All right, so let's get these doors done. First thing we'll do is take off our mirror. Then we're going to knock out the door. So, first thing I need, got a Torx. Go ahead and get these out of here. Should have took this one off first. Don't want to rip out my hole here, so put that back. Okay. Now I can take you out. Well, now we have the same problem there. I'm gonna try to get you right in the middle. There we go. Yeah, you don't want to strip out these holes on the door, which on my old door, I think they are stripped out, so we'll have to address that. But right now, we're just swapping the doors out, and we'll worry about that later. I need a container, hardware. So my wife likes these Temptations things for the cats, and when she's done with them, I get them for containers. Right, so let's get the door off. We've got to take our quarter window out because this is going into our other door. So we got a bolt here. I think we got one up here. I think it's a Phillips. Try to get that out first, and then take the door off. All right. And this is, I'm not sure. Nope. Get wrench for that. Socket, whatever it is. See what we got here. Well, maybe I don't have it on here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, Ford likes to use weird sizes. So it's probably metric. We got there probably a 12 millimeter. Ford's weird like that. Back in the 90s, maybe in the 80s, I don't know, they started getting parts from probably China, probably, or, you know, late 80s, early 90s. And I think China said, hey, if you want our parts, you got to use metric. Because before that, everything was standard. So if you've got a 68 Ford pickup, there won't be any metrics on it unless somebody retapped something. But you get something from the 90s, that's a different story. All right, we got that out. Need to pull the seal out. Need to get the window out of the track. And get this corner out. Let me see what's going on here. Should be loose. It's moving there. And this bolt's missing, so that's fine. There we go. Okay. So it's just a seal holding it right now. Get this seal out. Now on these seals, I'm going to try to be careful as much as possible without messing up the window here. But yeah, I want this seal in the other door. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Alright, seal is out. Put him up here for now. Now our corner window should come out. We just have to watch the glass. Make sure the glass is out of the way. Alright, let's go over here. There we go. Gonna drop you down. 2 screws, not 1. Oh, one of them. Well, these little Phillips get stripped out pretty easy if you don't get on them straight. So, anyway, now she's loose. How do you like me now? Well, brother, check it out now. Let's see if I can get this out of here without destroying anything. Corner window, bracket. So you got 1 bolt here and 2 screws here, and that holds that into the door. And then this is your door track where your seal fits and your window rides up and down. So we got that out of the way. Door's ready to pull off. Now I'm using these swivel ratcheting wrenches because inside here your 2 bolts on your hinges on the door itself, and if you put a socket wrench on there you can break them loose with the socket, but then you got to do that by hand because you run out of room here for your socket wrench. So I use these. I mean, if you don't have these, I like the swivel type so it does everything, but if you don't have these ratcheting wrenches, man. So now we're going to go ahead and get 4 bolts loose, and then I'll put the jack underneath the door to support it. And top one's loose. Now I just want to break them loose before I put the jack under. Just in case we got one that's being finicky. These doors have been off, think about a year ago. That's when I put these on. These are electric windows. As you can see, I tried to do some wiring, and I had this window working, but for some reason the motor just became an issue. So we're going back to the manual crank window, bulletproof, don't have to worry about nothing. So I'm going back to all the original doors on here, taking off these doors, putting the originals back on, even though the back doors technically are manual and they work. Obviously color is an issue. So the original doors, same color as the truck, which I had painted years ago. This paint job's probably around 10 years old. It's nothing special. Obviously this is original paint from this cab that these came off of. But anyway, this is just implement paint from Tractor Supply. And that's what it's going to have back on it again. Alright, so now we get our jack. Okay, and we're going to need a 4x4, I think. So we can lift this up. Now all we're using the jack for is to support the door. We're going to try to keep the door, where have I got that? All right. We're going to try to keep the door centered on this jack so that we're supporting the entire door, and we don't have to hold the weight. I just have to be careful about this wanting to fall off like that. So you see how it's falling over. Trying to keep the 4x4 under the door like that. Not working. So I think what I'll do is I'll see if I can get this to go all the way up to the door. I mean, it's there. It's not great, but it's going to support the weight. So now we can go ahead and take the rest of our screws out. I'm going to leave the top screw for last. That way the door don't want to fall outward. And it might be a little heavy on that side. I'm not sure. I don't have an exact center. But I have this on the lip of the door, on the outside lip. So when I take the last screw out, I'll make sure that I'm holding on to the door so it doesn't go anywhere. But once we have that loosened up, I'll set the door down. I gotta feed these wires through. Go ahead and take that boot off of the door first. I forgot to do that. Okay. Then I could probably just feed them out before I take the door off. We ain't got to fight it. Alright. That's my speaker wires. And that's power. Which I didn't secure, of course. I mean, why would you, right? If you don't leave the power on, how are you going to know that you got power? I mean, I'm not an idiot. Idiot. I think idiot is censored but I'm not sure, you know, because everything is censored now. But I'm not sure if it's censored if you call yourself an idiot. I think it's still okay to call yourself a retard, which I may have to edit out. I don't know. But idiot, I think it's okay to call yourself an idiot. Not sure. I'll have to check in on that, and you know, let me know in the comments if it's okay to call yourself an idiot. I think it's still okay. I'm not sure. Pretty sure it's not okay to call somebody else an idiot. Okay, she's almost off of here. Get the wrench off. Finger tight. Alright. Bolts are out. Door is loose. Not a really good place to grab, so we'll do that. And there's our door. Now, since I already had that set to the height of that door, I'll go ahead and leave it there. And now you can see the hinges. And you know, if you can't move that hinge like that, these hinges wear out right here. This bushing gets wore out. You can replace bushings, but I had other doors, so I just took the best hinges from 2 cabs and put these together. All right, so get this out of our way here while I do the. Sorry about the noise. This is going on, so we're going to go ahead and you can see the window is laid in here. We're going to leave that for now. But yeah, so I got the seals out of this door. All the seals are out. The window's in place. I got to put the corner in, but I'm going to put the corner window in after I've got it up there because it's easier to work on the door when it's being held in place by some hinges. So, all right, up we go. Same way we lifted the other one. A little close. Not sure if it's lined up really good here, but we'll give her a shot. Really, all you got to do is line up one hinge, and so I'm going to start with the bottom one because it's easier to get to. And once I get one hole lined up, the rest of them will line up a lot easier. So just got to get one bolt started. It's there, but not quite. There we go. Now it's enough. Come on, door. Cooperate with me. And the other thing is, when you're doing this, you know, you're going to have to fight it a little bit, obviously, unless you've got help and they're cooperating with you. Sometimes they don't. You have to get the screw at least 3 threads, let's say, into your hole, I like to go as far as possible by hand, because you can't cross thread a bolt by hand. I mean, Superman, he can do that. You know, maybe even Spider-Man, I'm not sure. But I can't. So that's my general rule. When I start a bolt, it doesn't really matter what it's on, just that I get at least 3 threads on with my fingers, and more if possible. Like on this one, I'm gonna go ahead and run it all the way down if I can, or close to it, so that I know that my door is straight up and down, the hinge is in the right place, and my other screws will go in a lot easier. So we got 2 screws started, 3 screws started, and 4 screws started. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and tighten these. We're just gonna snug it up. Not gonna be super tight or anything, but we're gonna snug it up so that we can see if we need to go up or down or in or out. Because you will have to adjust for your body line. You want your body lines to line up. You want your gaps to line up. So we do have seals on the cab. So, and there's a seal here on the door. It's a wind seal. So when we shut this, it should be sitting flush, because the strike plate is adjusted to the old door, and they should be pretty close. But you know, that'll be the last adjustment we make as far as how tight it fits. But yeah, these little wrenches, if you don't have them and you're doing these doors, you should look into getting them, because it's going to make your life so much easier. See, I'm just standing here with one hand and easy peasy. But if you were trying to do this with a socket wrench, you'd have to run them all the way down with your fingers until you could get a socket wrench in there, or use a wrench. And every time you hear that ratchet, that's another time you have to readjust your wrench. So you can do it with a wrench. I've done it lots of times, but way easier if you got a set of these. They're not cheap, but they're not super expensive. But I definitely recommend having a set if you're going to do anything serious. I mean, I use these for so many things now that I've got them. Before, I would go through multiple wrenches, combinations, sockets, different things, deep well, shallow well. I might even have to grind a socket down to make it fit, or, you know, there's a lot of special tools in my toolbox that were really only made for one purpose and used one time and put away, which can get expensive. I've probably spent more on modifying existing tools to do what I can do with these than I could have spent on these a long time ago and done it a lot easier. And saved a lot of time, you know, because you got time in making tools. So, you know, not enough can be said about these little ratchet wrenches. But you're probably tired of hearing about ratchet wrenches. So let's get our wiring back in the door, see if we can make a little arc here. In fact, I think I will go ahead and de-arcify this wire, because I already know that, okay, if I can find a pair of cutters that work right, probably get another pair of them. We'll go ahead and feed our wires in to our opening. If I can open this door a little further, here we go. Now, find the hole here. Get that in there. And then we want to get our rubber seal on the opening correctly, and then shut the door, check the gap, readjust, because we know we're going to have to readjust. Obviously, the jack puts us close to the height. I mean, so we should be able to shut the door, but it's still going to need to be adjusted. So anyway, once you've got your seal lined up right, the wire's back. Now, I'm going to let my jack down. I'll leave it set for the next door. Okay, so I can already tell we're having an issue up front. And I can see right here, my body line, we're in too far here. And when I go to shut the door, it stops right there. And what that means is the door is too far in on the top hinge. So I need to pull the top away from the hinge a little bit. Away from the hinge. I need to, from here, push the door out a little bit at the top. So we're going to loosen up these top two bolts just a little bit. Okay, and then so since that was so hard to move, I'm going to go ahead and leave that bolt loose. Okay, now we're shutting. Body line looks okay. Body line looks okay. My gap's a little off here, but I can't adjust that right now. That will actually have to be adjusted by moving the hinge, the whole hinge, in. So just for right now, I want the height right and I want the width right. So when I shut the door carefully, I'm flush here and more or less flush here. The back door is flush, the side's flush. So that's all good. I like it. And then we'll carefully open it, not all the way because I don't want it to shift again. And I want to go ahead and tighten up my top bolts and then tighten up the bottom bolts. Try it again and move on to the next door. Actually, no, finish putting this door back together, then move on to the next door. So there's going to be some things. We got to put our corner window in, and then we've got seals. We got our inside seal, which we'll put in last, and our outside seal, which I've already taken these seals out previously. I reused them in the doors that were on here, but I've since bought new seals. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to use those seals on this truck. I'm putting this truck back together so that I can do some tests. I've said previously I'm going to go ahead and put the fogger back on here. This is part of the fogger, it's the intake. The fogger is actually down here, and fog goes up inside here, and you can see lights and stuff going on in there. That's going back on here. This is not super important. I do want it to seal up. I mean, I don't want water coming in, things like that. But I'm not sure. I'm gonna go ahead and put new seals in this door. Not sure. All right, so the first thing we got to do is get our corner window in. The reason we do that is because the seal has to go in the track all the way around, and it sits inside this door, this track, actually in the corner window. So we're going to go ahead and slide this in right away. Once you get right here, you have to turn it to get it past where this bracket is for the bolt. Once you get it inside, you twist it again, and then it falls into place. You want to make sure that your window can get over and then sit inside the track. Your window can slide back and forth in there on the track, on this track assembly, whatever you call it, I don't remember. Window track, window crank mechanism. Probably what it's called, I don't know. All right, so we got these screws, and we got this screw here, which doesn't look like it's lined up very good, but we'll find out. All right, it's this one. All right, get in the way here. Okay, so I had to move it out a little bit to get the hole lined up, but that's okay. We'll slide it forward. Okay. When we tighten her up. Okay, hand tight. Now we got these goofy little screws. One of them is kind of messed up, but yeah, we're gonna go with that. It's fine. You don't gotta worry about that. All right, let's get the top one in since that's the easiest. You have to move this seal back in order to get this screw in, so it can be a bit of a challenge. And you want it lined up straight when you start, or otherwise you'll cross thread. It's just a hole, so you know, cross thread's not a huge deal on that. All right, that's in. Now we can go ahead and tighten up this screw. If we had the right wrench. All right, she's tight. Now we can go ahead and get our seal put in. Now this is a little tricky. You got to put this seal down inside, and so this way. You'll notice a slight curve to it. That's going to match the curve of your door. So if you put this in backwards, it's not going to want to lay down. It's going to want to twist. So you're going to want to put that in the right way. All right. Then this has to sit in this track, and the window has to sit in this groove. This is still rubbery. It's not hard, so that's why we're using this. I don't have new seals for this, not this part. So we're using whatever we got. I got other seals from the old doors in the other room that I could go look through and pull out something if these aren't good enough, but we're going with this. Not sure exactly how far down I need to go, so I'm just going to leave that there for now. Put this in at the top and then see where we land on this side. Okay, so we need to go down a little bit more. You can always pull it back up. Oh, there we go. Get this in at the top. Get lined up over here. Not sure exactly where she wants to land. I don't know, seems pretty happy right there. Yeah, okay. Now, probably should have had this all the way down. And actually, that's pretty much going to tell me because this lines up at the top of these two seals here. Anyway, let's get our window pushed over into the back seal after we get our back seal pushed up into place. Now when you roll that window up, it's going to actually push your seal up, but you want to have it as close as you can get it to start with so that the window is not trying to fight the seal to get put in. Okay. Now, go ahead and punch in here. Try to push that seal into the guide. And then reach over here, push the window in. Not sure how far that's in, but we'll just go with that. Now I'm holding the window back this way into this seal. I'm going to take this seal, drop it down in here. Carefully on the window. I'm using the window as a guide as I push this seal down. And it may be or may not be the best way to do this. I don't know, but that's how I'm doing it. I just want that seal down as far as I can get it. And then see if I can grab a hold down here. I don't know if I can do that, but let's see if I can get a hold of it down there and help it out. Maybe not. So it's kind of tight on the window itself. I'm just going to pull that out so I can get a little bit better angle here. Push it into here and see, there we go, a little bit more. You can hear her squeaking, and maybe I should have put a little silicone spray on that to help get it past. We're really close. Okay. Just a tiny little bit more. I think we're good. That's more than enough. All right, back up here. Get you back in. Push that in. Once I get that pushed back in, push it in and up. Now I can hear it trying to settle, and that's fine. We can always pull this up where we need it later. Okay, seal's in place. Window should be in the seal. Now I want to push the seal into the track all the way. The window will do a good job of that as you're moving it up and down. All right, and then I need a window crank so I can try window out. Okay, apparently this is a weird screw. So, weird screw adapter here. We'll see about what we put back in this hole. But for right now, just get me a crank from, let's say, I say this one. How you like me now? Oh, soul brother. Oh, it's another one of them weird screws. So I'm gonna have to find whatever it is that fits this. Looks like an Allen wrench. Hard to say without my glasses on, but we're gonna go with Allen wrench. Try that. Let's see what we got. Okay. Well, it's not one of them. Not one of them. Is it one of these? Who knows? What's up, Patches? All right. Well, it's not one of those either. Let's see. Is it one of these? Not it. Not it. All right. Is it one of these? Oh, what do you know? It's a Torx. Little bitty Torx. I don't know. I ain't got my glasses on, but let me see. See if I can read it. Maybe somebody wants to know. Rusty Torx T2. I don't know. the number. I think it's a T20. Okay, so we got that T20. We'll get us a door handle for the front. Now on the other side, rear, I've got to take the window out because when I was doing the roof, my knee went through the window on the other side. So anyway, so let's get this on here temporarily and test our window. Like a champ. So our seal is sitting pretty good. I may do a little adjusting on that later. Our corner window is in, seal's tight. Now we're ready for the inner seals, and I have to look because this seal is good. So we're going to go ahead and pull it out. You probably want to see me do this. All right, so I'm going to have to move the door. All right. So what I'm doing here is I'm pulling this seal up, straight up. And back here is a little tricky. I need to rock it a little bit to get that last one out. And as you can see, these slide down in these holes. Now taking this out can be a little tricky because they like to get stuck right here. Obviously they're made to stay so that they don't roll up and down with your window. But these just pop straight up, okay? You may be able to get underneath this lip and pull where these are at and pop them up. But when they get really old, like this door, I'll show you that in a minute, they don't like to come out. So there's a metal piece that runs through here. And when the rubber is gone, that metal piece will still be there. It'll usually be all rusted up. But you can grab that metal piece with a pair of pliers and pull up on it wherever you need to. But these just pull straight up. And then when you put them in, they get into the groove, into the openings. Once they're all lined up, you push this down. And as long as those clips go inside the hole and you push it down, everything's fine. Sometimes these clips can get bent. The inside of this lip can be bent, like you can see right here. If that is the case, you just move your window out of the way, get you a pair of pliers or do whatever. Don't use the window as leverage. But you can flatten this out, make it seal up, but really you shouldn't have a problem with that because this lip overhangs this lip. The rubber actually is going to roll over this edge outside. So the only thing is this, where this sits. If it's bent too far, it's going to sit too far this way, and it's going to cause a lot of friction on the window right here. And if this is felt, if this is bad on the inside, it's going to scratch your window. So that can be an issue. So anyway, we're taking this seal out. We're going to put that in the other door. Let me get this door out of the way. So this goes on the outside. I've got my window up, so in order to make this easier, I'm just going to roll the window down. Now this, as you can see, is pretty rusty inside. This gear is not greased up, so when it comes down and wants to stick, it binds up a little bit. I'm going to grease that up before I put this in service, but for right now I'm just going to leave it. So first thing I do is push this all the way back. You're going to have to move this seal out of the way a little bit in the back to get it all the way back. And then once you have that there, you get all of those lined up. And you just push that down. And actually, I think that seal has to go on the outside of that. All right. Get that seal in there. All right. Okay. So this seal actually sits inside the gap on this seal. And then as the window comes up, it'll make a tight seal right there. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Alright, that seal didn't want to cooperate. So we got a little pinch going on right here. But still smooth operation up and down. Now the inside seal, I don't have ready. I have new ones. But on this truck, I'm just gonna go with used seals that are okay. They're not great, but yeah. So sorry about that. I left you there. So this seal, I'm going to go ahead and leave out for right now. Our window is working. Now as you see, this wants to get caught just at the beginning, so I give it a little pressure downward, and then it's really easy. At some point, I'm going to grease up the gear, and then that'll be easier. But for right now, it's fine. Now there are adjustments for the track to be on the back side here. If the window is too loose in that track, it can cause issues. If this track is too loose, it can cause, so this allows you to move this up back a little bit to tighten up the gap on your window. But I ain't too worried about that, so we're gonna let that slide for now. We'll get a door panel put on here and get our speaker hooked up, which is right here. And then this door is ready to go. As you can see, when I shut this, it hits the first latch and then it stops. What it's doing is it's squeezing that seal down from the first latch to the second latch. And when you hit that first latch, it's just touching the seal. It's got some pressure on it. And when you hit that second, it's actually pushed in tight against the seal, and that's going to keep it from having air, especially up front. When this front seal goes out, you'll get a lot of air coming through here. And I can see right now I'm a little tight up here. I'm not lined up real well up here. There may be a reason for that, and I am pretty sure that since our gap here, we're not sticking out at the bottom. We might be out a little bit, but there's actually a bend right here, so it's hard to say. We might be out at the bottom a slight bit, and we might need to rotate that a little bit. But back here, we're actually good. So this is the gap I care about the most. This gap, the fender can move back, fill that gap. I can move that hinge forward to fill this gap. But the back gap is good. So as far as front gap goes, I think moving the fender back is probably fine. And this top corner being pushed in may have been because we had an air gap. And in order to get that seal tight, I went ahead and bent the top of the door over a little bit to tighten that seal up. It's old, the seal is original, so more than likely the seal was just getting hard, wasn't sealing up, and it was allowing a whistle to happen right there. So I got rid of the whistle. Big deal. It's an old truck, you know, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that on these old trucks. Oh, that's a pretty big hole. Okay, so we're gonna have to do a little welding on this door so we can remount our, yeah, we're gonna have to do some grinding, welding, and then re-drill those holes for the mirrors. But otherwise, that door's on. Next up is this back door. Notice I don't worry about taking the door panel off back here anyway, because all I gotta do is take these hinges off. And same as the front, 4 screws support the door, take the door off. Since this is not electric, it's all manual. There's no speakers, no nothing in this door. there's no wires going into the door. So you got 4 bolts, door pops off, grab the new door, put it on, line it up, and back door's on. Once you get your gaps right, you can adjust your hinges either on the door or on the B-pillar. Which, as far as the B-pillar goes, it's easier to adjust those hinges with the front door open and this door closed. I mean, you can loosen them up and tighten them up from the front side. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with this door other than obviously mismatched. These are the old doors. I could leave this on there because I am going to paint the truck. By the way, that's a ringtone. So don't be getting on my ass about that. Alright, so anyway, we're going to be replacing this door so it matches this. And part of the reason for that is I don't know how much body work I'm going to do on this truck. You can see we got rust here, the bed's rusting out. There's a lot of issues with this truck. My new truck that will be replacing this, which is the same year, the same model, everything is the same except that it's the 460 with the automatic. Recently broke my back, tore up my knees, ACL, some other stuff, ridiculous. I couldn't use this truck for 3 months because I couldn't push the clutch down. So, same thing with my tractor. So, hence the new truck to replace this truck. Since I love this truck so much, the dually, the crew cab, 1 ton, it drives perfectly down the road. I mean, this thing steers easier than my other trucks. So I just love driving this, even though it's low geared, it's got 410 rear end. Even though it's low geared, this thing is just so easy to drive. You know, you don't have to think about it. It basically drives itself. This is pre-Tesla, self-driven. No. But anyway, it's a dream to drive. The power steering is so easy. This truck's just really easy to drive. So that's why I love this design. It's bulletproof. I say bulletproof. And bulletproof means whatever you want it to mean. But I'm just saying, this is the most dependable truck I've ever had. I bought this truck to be dependable so I could put 1 million miles on it. And I almost have. It's got 1 million miles on it. I can't prove that because the odometer quit working, I don't know, 20 years ago. So, but I'm estimating 1 million or more miles on this truck. The motor, like I said before, it's been rebuilt 25 years ago. When I first got the truck, they threw some sawdust in it and sold it to me, and like an idiot, 28-year-old guy, I bought it thinking, oh, I got a great deal. No, I didn't. So I had to spend another $10,000 on the motor. So, 25, 28 years ago, whatever it was, when I bought this, and I believe it was either 1997, I believe it was 97, so it had been 28 years ago. I bought this truck and I paid $12,000 for the truck, thinking I was getting a good deal. Then within a month, I'd spent another $10,000 getting the motor rebuilt. 25 years later, I think it's paid itself off. You can't buy a truck like this for $25,000 that would go 1 million miles. You can't do it. There isn't one. Name out. In fact, in the comments, Name a truck besides a 1990 F350 7.3 IDI with a 5-speed that can go 1,000,000 miles hauling anything you want to haul. And when I say that, I mean, you know, DOT's going to get on me, but I've hauled steel. I used to scrap metal, and I've hauled, not on the truck, but on the trailer, some in the truck. But I've hauled 20,000 pounds, roughly, on the trailer. I mean, it's probably rated for 2,000. Forklifts, printing presses, cast iron. So, you know, I had 20,000 pounds taken to the scrap. And this truck didn't, I mean, yeah, you could feel it behind you, but it didn't sweat a bit. This takes off, you know, nothing to it. So tell me where you can find a truck, especially a new truck, anything from this century, anything from 2000 up. Now there might be some closer to 2000 than further away from 2000. Yeah, I don't think you can argue that there's something built tougher and more reliable, dependable than this truck was, which is why I bought it. I mean, I knew that this truck was dependable. That's why all the contractors had them. I mean, them contractors, they're hauling a lot of weight. They're pulling a trailer. They've got a crew. That's a crew cab. You could fit 5 guys in there pretty easy. I mean, the scrubs, they sit in the back, and the bosses sit up front. Usually have 2. And but anyway, there's plenty of room. You could put 6 people in here, but you know, with the stick shift, whoever's in the middle has got to be kind of okay with having your hand in between their legs, and you know. I mean, if you got a chick on the crew, it works out great. She always rides bitch. Anyway, wait, did I say that? I'm not supposed to say stuff like that. This is YouTube. Anyway, trying to keep it clean here, people. Trying to keep it clean. It's really hard to do. I'm not a dirt mouth, you know. I mean, I try not to be, but sometimes it slips, you know. I try not to, but yeah, anyway. Doors, I'm not going to bore you with the others. I may speed up something and show you a time lapse doing the doors, but front door's on. It's lined up. Shuts good. Moving on to the next one.